Patrick Smith doesn't disclose which airline he works for, but his experience as a commercial pilot gives him an authoritative view of how the airline industry works, or doesn't work, depending on your view. He's just poured over 2 decades worth of wisdom into his new book, Cockpit Confidential. Everything you need to know about air travel. And Patrick Smith is here. Okay, my first question.
Turbulence.
Is it turbulence? I read in your book that turbulence cannot tear the wing off a plane. That's always been my biggest fear. I look at the wing and I go, that thing's coming off. No?
You know, when I first started writing and taking questions from the traveling public, I was really amazed at just how many people are terrified by turbulence. It shocked me, and it shocked me because from a pilot's perspective, and this is something I talk about in Chapter 2, we see turbulence mostly as a comfort and convenience issue, not a safety issue per se. It's uncomfortable, it's annoying, but no, it's absolutely not going to rip the wings off the airplane. And you'd be amazed. People have this idea during rough air that the plane is pitching and rolling and dropping.
Fall down,
it's dropping hundreds or thousands of feet. If you were in the cockpit, even during pretty rough air, you would see the altimeter twitch maybe 20 feet either way.
Really?
Really.
Okay, so it's perception. What about lightning strikes? That was another thing I found fascinating. Because whenever we're flying, you know, I'm helping out, by the way. I'm a pilot. I'm helping. I'm looking out the window going, any storms, any rain? Oh, no, there's lightning. But you say that it really isn't that dangerous. Well,
airplanes are built with lightning strikes in mind, which stands to reason when you consider they're in the air in sometimes close proximity to bad weather. And if there is a strike, no, the energy doesn't come, you know, barreling in an electric fireball down the aisle killing people. It's safely discharged overboard.
Very good news.
And the average airplane is hit by lightning about once every 2 years. I've been on planes that have been struck at least a few times, and almost always the result is, at most, some little superficial damage, but nothing internal.
Well, that's what fascinated me. You said, here's an example of a conversation in the cockpit. Oh, yeah, I think we just got hit by lightning. Oh, well. We went out and asked some people what they thought, you know, what some of their questions might be. You are the Ask the Pilot guy, and these are some of the questions that we got, people that had things they wanted you to answer.
How do I get around baggage fees?
When is the cheapest time of the year to travel?
What airline offers the best bang for your buck?
I love that one, the best bang for your buck. So let's start with the fees. I mean, a lot of airlines now are charging more and more for baggage fees.
Yeah, airlines love these ancillary fees. Passengers hate them. The airlines call it unbundling, and there's a segment in Chapter 7 about this. You know, I have mixed feelings about it. I think in some ways unbundling is a good idea because it helps spread out the cost. Certain people can pay for certain things they want, and other people don't have to pay for things they don't want. It used to be that these perks, if you want to call them that, were included in the price of the airfare for everybody. And by the way, that fare used to be a lot higher than it is now. And this is something I talk about in the book several times, encouraging people to reappreciate travel a little bit by air, travel by air. Because there's this idea that the golden age of air travel, you know, is long past. And in a lot of ways, I think the golden age of air travel is right now, first and foremost, because it's so affordable to fly. And that did not used to be the case. Airfares today are about 50% of what they were 3 decades ago.
Wow.
And that includes factoring in these fees that everybody hates.
So what about cell phones? I mean, they always tell you, turn off your cell phone. You know, a lot of people are not turning off their cell phones. What sort of advice would you give for that? And does it really interfere with the mechanisms or the radio frequencies or...
Well, when it comes to PEDs, electronic devices, we're having different conversations because different devices are restricted for different reasons. With laptop computers, for example, the reason you're not supposed to have them out during takeoff and landing is because a laptop is a piece of luggage and a potential projectile. Maybe it's just me, but I don't want to be hit by somebody's MacBook going 180 miles an hour. With phones, it's very unlikely that interference is going to result, especially with modern planes, because they're shielded with cell phone interference in mind. But it is possible, and there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that phones can interfere. But, you know, ultimately, I think the phones thing is going to come down to being a social issue rather than a technological issue. Do we really want to be sitting on a plane with 200 people talking on their phones at the same time? I certainly don't. And it's interesting because, at least for now, and this is something I talk about in Chapter 3 in my essay about airports, you know, with the air travel experience taken in whole, it's the plane itself that in a lot of ways is the quietest and most peaceful part of the journey.
True.
Airports, American airports, are so damn loud. You've got people talking, babies crying, and those damn news monitors at every single gate that you can't turn down or turn off. It's not until you get onto the plane that you finally have some peace and quiet, and I think we should keep it that way.
One of the things I also noticed in the book, you said that air travel is going to double by 2025. I can't even imagine that many more airplanes in our skies.
And it's already doubled in volume globally over the past 20, 25 years or so. And remarkably, through that stretch, and this is another topic that's hit several times in the book, air safety worldwide has turned out to be on a much, it's astonishingly safe. And that wasn't the prediction back 20, 30 years ago when people looked ahead, saw this growth coming and said, we better watch out, especially in developing countries like China and Brazil, where air travel has really grown exponentially. People were predicting crashes on the order of once a week in these places, and that didn't happen.
Thank goodness.
And it didn't happen because of crew training, better technology, and the collaborative efforts of government and airlines all working together. And as a result, the last stat I saw said that worldwide air travel was about 7 times safer than it was 25 years ago.
I'm flying. Thank you so much. So many good things to know in the book. We appreciate you joining us. That's it for Greater Boston. Tomorrow night, Boston's always had a great architecture. Well, now it's got some great public art. Jared Bowen shows off the city's newest sculpture show. And then later this week, our annual Summer Movies and Books special. Get a preview of this summer's blockbusters and must-reads. It's all this week at 7 o'clock on Greater Boston. I'm Gail Huff. Thanks so much for watching.